Oh my gosh, Trek Geeks is proud to have Fansets as our presenting sponsor. Fansets is the place for amazing pin collectibles with over 500 officially licensed Star Trek pins with new releases every month. Stay tuned for a special discount code that'll be good on your next order over there at fansets.com. Get there, go there now. Fansets, our pins have character.
You know, I don't know who puts this broadcast package together, but he does a heck of a job. Oh, hello, greetings to you, Trekkies, Trekkers, and Trek Geeks all across the galaxy. Welcome to the Patreonical recording of Trek Geeks. I am so excited to be here tonight. It feels like it's been forever. Some might say it's been a long time. Yes, it has been a long time. And of course, by a long time, that pretty much describes my entire almost 30-year friendship with my co-host. You know, if I traveled back into time in the 1950s, I would leave him at that army base to be studied as an inferior form of life. He is the largely alien Dan Davidson. And Dan, great to be here, buddy.
Great to be here too, I guess. I don't know.
is.
I'd rather go back to the 40s where it all took place. But if you wanted somebody back to the 50s, we reach, brother. That's fine. That's good. It's good to see you, buddy. It's good to be here. It has been a while. I'm excited. We're going to talk some fun stuff tonight, and it's always good to see you. It's been a long time since we sat down in front of these here microphones and had some fun.
It has, and I think you've picked a good episode with which to pick that back up. As you know, tonight, as the episode card shows, we're talking about probably one of our favorite Deep Space Nine episodes because it does such a great job at downshifting from all the serious stuff.
Yeah, we figured, we were going to have a different topic tonight, but Halloween's right around the corner. We always like to do a Halloween themed episode as we get close to October 31st. And we said, hey, let's do it this week. So I'm heading out on a trip in a couple days. So we're not going to be able to record before I leave. So let's talk Little Green Men, Deep Space Nine. It's one of our favorite episodes, season 4, episode 8. Probably the best Ferengi family episode that they did on Deep Space Nine. And I'm really excited to talk about it because I just love the whole idea of Roswell and all the things that they did to make this work in this episode. So I'm pretty excited.
It's not a well-known fact, but you yourself actually are a little green man. We don't talk about it very often. You are clearly from Mars or some other planet.
Yes.
I think the thing that amazes me is that back then we thought that Martians were actually little green men and that there were Martians.
That's right. Remember the Orson Welles show?
War of the Worlds. Yeah.
War of the Worlds. Yeah. The radio show. And everybody thought we were being invaded back then. Yeah, absolutely. It's great that a science fiction show that we love so much does a great job in this episode of talking about great science fiction.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
No.
Sure. I'm just going to have a sip of my drink while we talk about it.
Well, in which case, Dan, let's pivot into one of my favorite aspects of streaming, and that's what are you drinking?
Well, in honor of Little Green Men, I got to hold it up so I can see it. I've got a little green drink. This is a fall martini that my wife made up a couple years ago. It's a caramel apple martini. It's got butterscotch schnapps, sour apple pucker, and green apple vodka with Halloween sugar colored rim. And it's my go-to every fall. I have several of these, and I may have several tonight because it's been a while since I've sat with you and I need to numb my brain.
One might argue your brain's been numb for about 55 years.
And as Ryan's asking, hold on, let me turn it around. It is a Disney glass. Of course it's a Disney glass. That's just a silly question. So there we go. I don't want to
spill any.
Yeah, it's on my keyboard.
That'd be amazing.
What are you drinking?
I am drinking just a glass of bourbon. It's Frey Ranch bourbon. It's probably one of my favorites. I figured that the general in Little Green Men would probably drink his bourbon.
Yes.
Although I had ice to mine because I like it chilled.
Which is good.
It's just the way I am. Some people like it straight. I like it on the rocks. To each their own. I'm sure I'm committing some cardinal sin somewhere that somebody's going to freak out about. Probably Ryan, but it is what it is, and I likes what I likes.
It tastes good. You like it, and that's what counts. And
Um,
don't ever forget it.
some might say that I like you, and they would be factually inaccurate. That is 100% true.
Absolutely.
While
yes.
we were talking about doing this,
Yeah.
what, Dan? I don't want to interrupt this. I'm hearing some breaking news that we
Oh.
probably want to talk about. I don't mean to derail Little Green Men, but let's go ahead and let's talk about this.
Okay.
Give me just 1 second.
Oh yeah.
That's right, Dan.
Oh,
That
yeah.
is the special news. Our special report bulletin. That was the video intro for the forthcoming Thursday Night Geeks, premiering Thursday, January 30th, live here on our YouTube's channel. I'm so excited for this. I can't wait. I hope people love that video intro because it's designed to gear you up and get you excited.
You did a great job, Bill. It's going to be Thursday Night Geeks, premiering Thursday, January 30th, 2025 with Bill Smith and Dan Davidson. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be fun. It's going to be wild, and it's going to be completely off the rails.
We're on rails? Nobody told me this.
Rails, guard, pat. I don't know, whatever.
Are you sure you have not had more than one of those martinis?
No, this is great. This is yet another wild idea. You said every once in a while, listeners, I got a crazy idea. He'll text me. And sure enough, I got a crazy idea. So I'm like, hit me with it. And he came up with this idea, Bill. It's another one of your awesome ideas. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. We're doing this live now for the Patreons, and we started to do it, and we've had a good time with it. And it just makes sense to just go from there. So Thursday Night Geeks, man, it's gonna be awesome. Of course, presented by our dear and wonderful friends at Fansets.
Indeed, and of course, as Ross says, TNG. Yeah, we're gonna give TNG a whole new meaning on Thursday nights, and we're really, really looking forward to it. I mean, I have to do it with you, so I mean that's the one downfall.
No. I'm not a merry man either, so
no, but you are an ugly man.
And I can't even take a sip because I'll just spill it.
It's true. In fact, I may have screwed up the order of things.
Oh.
What's that? What's that?
Okay.
We have more breaking news, Dan.
Here we go.
Dan, this just in from the Trek Geeks newsroom.
Yes.
Breaking news. Dan Davidson no longer a deadbeat. That's right. Dan Davidson has found gainful employment and accepted an offer, so he is no longer a scumbag.
Well, that may not be the case.
Well, that's true. But Dan, congratulations. I think your layoff lasted about as long as mine did last summer.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
And I know the feeling it's like to get that job for the first time.
Yeah.
So I'm so psyched for you, buddy.
Thanks.
I know that everyone else is excited for you too, including Christina Werther, who was on time.
Yes. Well, wonders never cease. Now I gotta say, I'm extremely excited about this. It was a little over 3 months, just like you. Probably the most single stressful 3 months I've ever gone through in my life. And that's including a lot of stuff that I've gone through in my life. It was just something that, as you know, I was not dealing with very well. Put out over 400 applications in that 3 months. I talked to 5 human beings, which is just an unbelievable ratio. And I will say, of the 5, this was the one that I wanted more than any of them. So I am extremely excited. I'm very relieved, and I'm really looking forward to the new chapter. The company just seems amazing. Their mission is one that I can just really latch on to. Their culture is fantastic. So I'm very excited. I got a couple more weeks before I start getting back into the grind. So I'm leaving for Disney in a couple of days, and it's going to be the most relaxing Disney vacation I think I've had in a long time, because I don't have to worry about anything anymore.
Well, and you had a similar experience to me that, when you're looking for a job that long and you're not making any traction or gaining any headway, it really has an effect on your mental health. And I know that last summer I wound up going on antidepressants, and I'm still on them, because I discovered that I also have, chronic severe depression, which apparently I've had almost all my life and didn't know. But I know you were pretty low, and people were rightfully concerned about you, and I'm glad that you're doing a little better now.
No, thanks, man. And I appreciate everybody who reached out to me. I had some great conversations with people when things were at their lowest. And I'm going to call it out right now. I got a phone call from John Billingsley one afternoon that was probably more helpful than anything else I could have expected during the whole time that I was looking. It's amazing the amount of stress and worry that comes in when something like this happens. And I've said it before, I consider myself very lucky. I had gone my entire career without being laid off. This was the first time that I experienced something like that. I really didn't think it was going to be hard to get something right away, because we're always looking for somebody in my field. But the job market out there right now is probably the worst it's been in decades. And in the middle of the summer, it's even worse. So things got bad real fast. And it was just, there was no light at the end of the tunnel, and it was getting really, really bad for me. But things turned around. And when they turned around fairly quickly. So that was good. So now I'm just waiting for my start date, and I'm looking forward to contributing again and putting my skills to use, and putting a smile on my face again, which is really one of the most important things. I got to hand it to my wife. She put up with a lot of sad days with me and a lot of frustration, and as did you and other people that I talked to, but it's all behind me now. I'm looking forward to the future, and I can't wait.
Well, buddy, one of the things I know you're really excited about, again, is your ability to roll around partially clad in a bunch of pins from Fansets. And of course, Fansets, our presenting sponsor. We want to take this moment to thank them, as always, for being in our corner 100% of the time, man.
Absolutely. Best thing that has ever happened to us coming out of Vegas was the relationship that we have formed with John and Lou and everybody at Fansets. And as always, we want to thank them and talk about the great new pins that they have. They've had recent jaunts across the country. Now you're going to want to add these brand new pins to your collection, except for the first one, because it's already sold out. But I'm going to talk about it anyway, because it's just so cool. And I have mine right here, so I'm going to brag about it. They were recently in Nashville, so they had the wonderful con exclusive pin featuring Data playing guitar. So spot on for the Nashville convention. Maybe it'll show up once again, but I'm not too sure. So if you don't want to miss out on the other convention exclusive, go out to fansets.com right now and get it, because once it's gone, it's gone. And that's the one from the Trek to Chicago. It's everyone's favorite gangster book, The Chicago Mobs of the 20s. It's the convention exclusive pin with Kirk and Spock from Piece of the Action. They're just absolutely beautiful. Also, don't forget to grab the brand new Discovery President's UFP emblem pin, as well as the Strange New Worlds Fleet Inspector Delta. They are all available right now, except for the Nashville pin, over at fansets.com.
You have some of those pins right there in your hot little hands you were showing me before the show.
Right here.
Yeah, look at that.
I got
They're
mine.
Not grimy. They're not grimy from your dirty hands yet.
Well, they will be, because I'm drinking.
Again, of course, I'm going to tell you what I always tell you. Head on over to fansets.com not right now because you're watching an awesome podcast, but right after the show, and get those convention exclusive pin and the other pins Dan mentioned, put them in your cart, and at checkout, be sure to enter this special discount code you see on your screen, Trek Geeks, for 10% off your entire order. That's Trek Geeks in all capital letters with no spaces. And of course, don't forget, when you spend more than $30 on fansets.com, you automatically get free shipping in the United States.
Fansets. Our pins have character. And we thank our friends at Fansets for being the presenting sponsor of the Trek Geeks.
We sure do. And Dan, we move on now to our main body of content, and that is Little Green Men, the amazing Deep Space Nine episode. It's amazing it's taken us 17 minutes to get to this, hasn't it? I can't wait to see the YouTube comments once we, make this public.
Exactly.
Why did it take you 17 minutes to get to the episode? People used to do that, actually.
That sounded like the Grand Nagus, actually, a little bit.
Thank you. I wasn't going for Wally Shawn, but I'll take it. Dan, when I think of all of the episodes of Deep Space Nine and the ones that act as really great downshifts around some very serious content, Little Green Men for me ranks right up there with some of the best of them. I love what this episode does. I love that it gives a platform for, our first family of Ferengi on Deep Space Nine. But I love all the nods to sci-fi of days gone by.
Yeah, it's really great. I said it before. It's a great science fiction show that pulls a lot of great classic science fiction into it, and it works on every single level. I don't think there's one level of this episode that didn't work. I thought it was great. Everything from the zooming in on the calendar when you find out that they're actually in 1947, and the image of the calendar itself. Everything just works great. I also love not only the nod to the great science fiction, but the nod to all the different things in Deep Space Nine that we've seen already. Cousin Gala, the Bell riots, all kinds of things that take place in this episode, which I'm sure we'll get to in more detail. But the continuity in this episode really works, and they really hit it on all cylinders, coming right out of the gate with heading off to Starfleet Academy.
Well, and that's the thing. They create this time travel episode, and some could argue there's too many time travel episodes in Star Trek. Maybe this isn't one of them.
Not that work as good as this one anyway.
Yeah. I love the fact that they created, well, we got to get Nog back to Earth. We got to make it interesting. I know. Let's have him go back in time and crash land in Roswell, New Mexico. I mean, it's perfection. Just the idea. I can see it up on a board somewhere. Maybe the index card tacked to a cork board, and somebody says, let's have Quark and Rom land in Roswell. And just the brilliance of just the idea alone is fascinating. The execution is 1,000 times greater.
It really is. That's one of the things that I love so much about this episode is the execution of those various themes that they do in this episode. It all works. Now, as we do with every deep dive episode that we talk about, Bill, we're going to have fun and make fun of things because it's fun to do that. And I'm going to start right off the bat. Why is every shuttle that is not Federation in Star Trek extremely cramped and very tight and really have no movement around? Runabouts and shuttles are just like these gigantic football field rooms, except for the couch bridge from Insurrection. All the Federation ones get the best shuttles. This one is cramped, very, very cramped.
I gotta say though, if you look at the Federation 2-man shuttle that you see in Times Squared and TNG and some of the other ones, that thing is more cramped than you can believe. Can you imagine the tiny little warp core that must be back there?
Yes.
It's got to be about as big as your brain.
No, don't give them that much credit, or don't give me that much credit, I should say. One of the things I did like about it is, again, with continuity, is if you look at all of the graphics on that shuttlecraft bridge, it pulls me back to the Stargazer episode from TNG and when they were on the Ferengi ship. And I just think that was great how they were able to do that. I don't know if that was Akuda who had anything to do with that, but I really liked it. And it was great to see. This was the first time that we really started seeing Brahms' genius with engineering. when he was starting to go through all the different things that needed to be done when they were running into problems, and how he had run tests and found that there was the chemosite in the shuttle bay and stuff like that. It was also good to see Quark in his element of being a captain of his own shuttle. What was it? Quark's Treasure? Was that what the name of it? I think is
I
what he
forgot,
named it.
honestly.
But yeah, I thought all those aspects right at the beginning. We haven't even gotten to the time travel part. I just thought the beginning of that whole part of the episode was just a lot of fun to see. Get that family dynamic of them arguing and going back and forth. I thought was wonderful.
Let's talk about the best part of the opening, and that's the auction for Nog's things, right in Quark's bar, and Worf and the tooth sharpener. You know, that scene might seem dumb at first, but Dorn sells how much Worf loves that tooth sharpener.
Yep.
And it's comic gold. It
It
really
is.
is.
It's really great. I want one just to have one now because of the way he does it. And when I was watching this, I'm like, oh, I don't remember. Do they have a great little sound effect that they throw in? Sure enough, they really do. Yeah, it's great. And you're right. Dorn does sell it. This is the first one where he's kind of like, and he jumps, and then it's like, oh, and then he's just like, how much? I mean, it's yeah. And it's an episode where we don't see any of the cast really, except for that first few minutes. But while they're there, they do a great job in that auction to send off Nog.
Where's Worf going to get money? I don't understand.
We could spend a whole episode on the inconsistencies of currency in Star Trek.
It drives me crazy. How much? I don't know. 500 bars of gold pressed platinum. I mean, shoot for the moon. I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
Gala's moon.
Yeah. Very nice. Yeah, very nice.
And you were right. The shuttle is Quark's treasure.
Okay.
The way in which they time travel, I find it pretty believable in the scope of Star Trek. I feel like that could be a thing. You know, it's obviously they get there, and the fact that they just happen to land in that place, it's either the greatest stroke of luck or the worst stroke of luck, and I'm not sure which it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the greatest because it just makes the episode that much more perfect. I love it. You know what? One thing we didn't talk about, Bud, which we usually like to do right at the beginning of the episode is it is the 8th episode of season 4. Teleplay was by Ira Stephen Bear and Robert Hewitt Wolf, 2 Star Trek legends. Story by Tony Marbury and Jack Trevino, and directed by James Conway. And you pointed out an unbelievable coincidence and cool stat about the director right before we went on air tonight.
Well, yeah, I was going to save that for later when we talk about the cool things, but since you're ruining my show,
then I didn't say anything. Just press the rewind button, or you can pretend that I said it like the humans talk to the Ferengis before they fix the universal translator. I
got to correct you on one thing because I am learning Spanish, as you know.
Oh, did I say a name wrong? That never happens.
Yeah, Trevino.
Oh, I didn't see the tilde. Sorry.
Over the end.
I didn't see that. Okay, I got my glasses on. Yeah.
Oh, that's the reason you're dumb. So this episode directed by Jim Conway. He also directed a really kind of a second tier 80s quasi sci-fi movie called Hangar 18 about the conspiracy about aliens at Roswell.
Yes.
It starred Gary Collins, who some Gen Xers may remember as like a ubiquitous TV host of the time, and the dad from Teen Wolf, the movie.
Yeah.
And it's not a great movie, and it's not Jim Conway's fault.
Was Elliot Gould in that too? I can't remember.
No, that's Capricorn 1.
Oh, I mixed that one up again. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
At least I'm pretty sure Elliot Gould's not in it. I'd have to look it up.
No, that's all right. Yeah, it's a cheesy, campy movie, but I'll tell you what, I loved it when I was a kid. It was just one of those ones that I like to watch. You know, that jet taking off without a pilot at the end. Oh my goodness.
I think I saw it 30 times on HBO when I was in middle school. So obviously the Ferengi crash land. They wake up in this sort of, medical examination room at the base there at Roswell, and their universal translators are a little on the fritz. And this, for me, is one of the favorite parts of the episode because it reminds me of all those, National Geographic things where people are trying to talk to chimpanzees and get them to mimic things.
Yep.
But what a great scene.
It really is great. It's back in the day when I watched these episodes or this episode, that scene was one that I didn't appreciate as much as I do tonight. I'm like, okay, this is just dumb. Why do they think that these intelligent human beings are just going to do these ridiculous looking gestures just because they're doing it? But now it really works. Exactly. And the nose and all that stuff. I was like, now I appreciate it a lot more than I did back then. But it is extremely funny now to me as I'm older.
Is that because you make stupid moves like that all the time? Like, I'm so dumb.
I pronounced the name wrong.
I could have had a V8. Sorry, another Gen X reference that a lot of people aren't going to understand. So, in this episode, we kind of get the genesis of the whole weather balloon myth, which I love. It is such a great nod to all the stupid cover-ups that the government engaged in with trying to tell people they didn't see, unidentified flying objects. We get this hardcore, hard-ass general who we've seen before in Star Trek, and this is one of my favorite callbacks in the entire franchise, that they bring this guy back.
Charles Napier is awesome in this role. Of course, we reach brother from TOS. I like him in this role more than I do in TOS. I just think he is perfect as this general, with the big fat cigar and the gravelly voice and Colin, what did he call the president? The piano playing Democrat stooge or something like that. I mean,
something like that. Yeah.
It's the way that he brings himself in this episode out, the way that he portrays the general is really, really good. And I'm so glad that they were able to get Napier to do that.
It's safe to say he's not voting for Harry Truman. I am just throwing that out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good to see Haley tonight. Yes,
Wow.
that's exactly
Really?
what it is, Haley.
Wow.
It is.
Okay, I get it.
Not only is age deteriorating his brain cells, he's really only got 2 left, so he's kind of screwed.
Well, that's one more than I thought I had, so I appreciate that. Maybe that's why I got the job.
It's fading fast.
It is fading fast. Yeah.
Ryan says, I don't think you can blame age for that.
No, I really don't think you can either.
It could just be genetics, Ryan.
Yep. Hey, while we're talking about that scene with the way that they're mimicking the Ferengi, one of the things that I find fascinating about this whole scene is the back and forth for the different camera angles depending on who's talking. So when the humans are listening to the Ferengi, they are talking in a different language, and it's a language that they made up, and you can hear them specifically talking in a different language. When it's the other way and the camera's over the Ferengi's shoulders looking at the humans are talking, but they're playing the words backwards. You can see what they're saying when their mouths move, so we know it's in English, but they're just playing the words backwards. I thought that was an interesting way to handle the different languages from both species. I thought that was kind of mind-blowing.
Well, this is the first time we ever hear the Ferengi language, which is super cool.
Yeah.
I wish we had heard it more.
Was Enterprise's episode with the Ferengi before this or after this? I forget.
It would have been after.
Was it after? Okay.
Because Enterprise didn't premiere until 2001.
That's right.
So, it's the very first time in all those episodes we never had the Ferengi language.
Right. This came out in 95.
I blame TNG. Damn it, TNG. That's really, for me, one of the pieces of Ferengi lore that I love. I don't enjoy most Ferengi episodes, largely because they're just too much about Prophet and Ferenginar and Rain and blah, blah, blah. But this one, for me, is really super fresh. And the fact that we get that little nugget makes me happy as a nerd.
Yeah, for me, this and Magnificent Ferengi are the two best Ferengi episodes that were ever done. I really like that one as well. But this one is way up as number one. This one is the best one, I think, by far. I really like it a lot.
I like to see the relationships of Quark, Rom, and Nog in this situation too, because they're far from home distance-wise, they're far from home time-wise, and you get to see a brand new dynamic. They're not usually in this peril where they have to figure things out. When I saw it, and I kind of still feel this way a little bit, I had a hard time believing that Rom was going to go from idiot to Rain Man in about 2.2 seconds. Because he does. It's like they flip a switch and like, oh, Rom's a genius now. We just didn't know it. Rom, up till now, has not been that bright.
Right.
It's
Now, was that
my
something that he
one
was hiding?
it's my one critique of this episode is they could have
Okay.
been a little better at slowly introducing that aspect of Rom
Mhm.
before we got to 1947, and Rom's the guy who figures out the way home.
And then pretty much saves everybody from the Dominion
Right. Right.
later
See,
on.
by
So,
that
yeah.
point, though, it's believable.
Yeah, gotcha. No, I agree. One of the things that I will point out, it's not so much a critique, because it's actually one of the best aspects of the episode, but it's a critique in the way that humans are just stupid. God damn, do people smoke a lot in the 40s?
Yeah.
I mean, the whole episode, they are lighting up. At one point, the guy lights up 2 cigarettes in his mouth and gives one to his fiance. There's smoke coming in from the side of the screen, and it becomes a talking point for Quark. And it's like, man, they went over the top on the smoking thing. But again, it's something that it worked, because I could totally see that happening back in the 40s, especially that big cigar that the general had. I mean, talked about that already.
It's realistic to the period, and I think
Mhm.
that's the thing. I mean, nowadays we look at it and go, "Ugh, and it is gross." But I mean, Mad Men was the same way. You know,
Oh, was it? Okay, I've never
all the
seen it.
characters smoking are essentially chain smoking, which is what
Yeah.
happens in this episode practically.
Mhm.
It fits. And we wonder why so many people had emphysema and now
Yes.
COPD and whatever.
Yep.
So as much as I hate it, it's a great talking point for Quark, as you say. You know, when he starts talking about what he knows of humans, or sorry, humans.
Root beer.
Baseball, root beer, darts, and atom bombs.
That's one thing that I did find. If I've got a critique, and I could be a little over the top on this critique, but it's something that I think of, and I thought of it watching just the other day, when Nog decides that he's gonna pretend that they're part of this invasion force, and he goes over to the map and says that they're gonna land at that big blue blob. Okay, you know what? Everybody sees maps of different planets, no matter where you are. It's pretty universal that that's a lake or a body of water. And if he's going to Starfleet Academy, you would think that he has an idea of what the map of the planet or even the United States looks like, because he's going to San Francisco. That was a little like, okay, I understand what you're doing. I like the humor aspect of this part of the episode, but come on. The big blue blob? Yeah.
The what?
The big blue blob.
You kind of tripped over it the first
I did
time.
trip over it, and I didn't want you to hear that.
For me, that's a minor thing, because
Oh, it's minor. Yeah.
maybe Nog forgot what it's called. Maybe the word on Ferenginar is something completely different. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe he just wanted to seem dumb like Dan Davidson.
Wow, here we go. Okay.
And Ross brings up a great point here. Ron played the best con game of the whole series. Playing dumb is hard to do when you're really smart. If Quark knew how smart he was, the exploitation would have been epic. It's not hard to play dumb if you're Dan Davidson, because he ain't playing.
It's all 100% right here, baby.
I am taking shot after shot after shot.
It's been a while, and you know what? You can. That's all right.
I've had it stored up.
I know. It's okay. It's like you're constipated with insults. It's okay.
We didn't have to go there. But now that you're no longer a deadbeat without a job.
Well, not yet. I haven't started yet.
Oh.
So kind of could be still. Yeah. Anyway.
No, you've got a job. Screw you.
Thank you.
I like the portrayal of the junior officers in this episode. The general is going to be this sort of hard ass, tough as nails dude. The other people in this episode, like, his minion who questions the Ferengi, or even the nurse and her fiance. I really like the way they're portrayed for the most part, because I can see these characters in a 50s movie, quite frankly.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. I kind of wish this would have been a little bit maybe too bonk on the head, and this may be something that people have talked about in the past. I kind of would have loved to have seen Nurse Garland as maybe a not descendant, but the backwards reverse
Ancestor.
of Kirk. Ancestor could, because she's got the same idea of what it's going to be like in the future and stuff like that. It would have been a great tie-in. I get that they didn't, because it would have been maybe a little bit too much, but I really would have loved it if they made that reference, even if she wasn't named Kirk, but just was an ancestor of Kirk or somebody that we know in Star Trek history. That would have been kind of cool. I think I would have liked that.
I can see that. I love Megan Gallagher in this part.
Mhm.
The funny thing is when they were looking somebody for this part, they said somebody like Megan Gallagher. That's not the first time Berman and company have done that either, because, you know, when they were looking for somebody to play Tom Paris, they said somebody like Robert Duncan McNeil. It's like, dudes, they're right there.
Absolutely.
You know, Jim breaks up a great point. This is one of my favorite episodes, but as I've gotten older, I've kind of developed a problem with the scene involving Nog and the army nurse. You know, Jim, nowadays I do too.
Not wrong.
Because it's a little juvenile.
He's a little minor.
Especially, well, he's not, because he's going to Starfleet Academy.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
But just the rampant sexual harassment of it all, that she doesn't know about. You know, she's essentially being conned into giving him Umox without having any context what Umox is. And while a funny bit at one point in time, these days I find it a little problematic. I'm not going to lie.
And do you think that these days that would have gotten even into the episode if it was now? I don't think it would have.
I think it might have, but the direction to Aaron might have been, dude, chill out a bit, or they might not have even, you know, had it as an on-camera moment.
Yeah.
But Jim is right. He did essentially force himself on her. He did.
Yep. Absolutely.
Because she didn't have the ability to consent.
Yep. And she didn't even know what she was doing. Yeah. Absolutely.
No, she just thought she was massaging his ears.
Yep.
So, and honestly, I expect better from a Starfleet cadet or a
deceptive
Starfleet cadet.
Yeah, he was deceiving her. Yep, absolutely.
You know, Dan, the first duty of every Starfleet officer
is to the truth.
The truth.
With the personal truth or historical truth.
And the truth is, those are some ugly ass ears.
Yeah, they are. Yep.
Oh, I was talking about yours, not Knox.
The ones that are covered, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I've seen them before. It's a good thing they're covered. Everybody would be losing their lunch. The one thing I didn't expect when I watched this live the first time was to have Odo pop up. It's so the last thing I expected.
So great.
I mean, we're both huge dog people. I love dogs. I used to have a great phobia of German Shepherds because I was attacked by one as a kid. Story for another time. But, you know, when you see the dog, you know, essentially jump up and put a paw on either shoulder of Quark, you're wondering what is going to happen here in the scene? Are we going to move? And then you see it turn into Odo. You're like, no way.
Yeah. And I love Quark. Oh, they forgot to take that thing.
Yeah.
I just love it. Yeah. Yeah. That was a shock and it was great. I will tell you what, if there's any special effect that does not stand up well over time, it is that scene where the dog is on Quark's shoulders. I mean, looking at it closely, that's not some great special effect work, which is surprising because Deep Space Nine is filled with such great effects. But it still works though. The scene is fantastic.
I was fine with it. So now we're gonna get a little nerdy about, you know, television and production and you know, bit rates and stuff like that. So even though I own all the Deep Space Nine DVDs, I went out and I downloaded the AI enhanced version of Deep Space Nine in 4K. So somebody did an AI up-res of Deep Space Nine and they've done it for Voyager 2 so that you get much better definition on those episodes. They look incredibly clear. To watch them side by side is like night and day. Watching that scene, I was not taken aback by that effect at all. I thought it was actually pretty good.
Oh, good. That's interesting. I just grabbed those also. I have not watched any of them yet. What I did for one episode, I forget which one it was, is I just threw the starting of the old version and then I threw up the starting of the enhanced version just to see how incredibly different it is. I have not watched any episodes. So I will, when we're done recording, I'm probably going to pull up Little Green Men and watch that scene just to see if it stands out as much to me. And I'm very excited about watching these AI enhanced versions.
When you watch it, you know, the scene for me that really sold it was the close up on Quark's face when
Mhm.
they're in the examination room on the base. You can see the finer points of his makeup.
Yeah.
You can almost see the seam line around his mouth. Not quite,
Mhm. Yep.
but it is far more clear. And for those interested, if you Google, Deep Space Nine, upscaled, you'll probably find
Yep.
information about it. But it's a really great way to watch this series.
It's funny that you say that because when I agree with you. The close up of Armin in this episode is really great, and the thing that I focused in when they did the close ups is not so much the makeup stuff, but those teeth that he wears when he
Yeah.
is Quark. I don't know how he did it for so long, and he even did it when he did his voiceovers for Lower Decks. He put the teeth in. Um, that's some teeth, baby. I mean, that's whew, ah.
Now you know why they need sharpeners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he does good, and that's another thing I liked about this episode is you got that up close personal with all of them pretty much. You really got to up close personal looks at all three of the characters, and it's just another standout to the great makeup job that they did because they do all three of them look fantastic.
I love the deal that Quark tries to negotiate with the general, as if Quark can take over a planet essentially if he plays his cards right.
Yeah,
And at that point, probably no Federation, no Starfleet,
everything gets wiped out.
Star Trek Enterprise never happens.
Yeah,
Everything gets wiped out because Quark wants to be an emperor,
yeah,
essentially.
yeah.
But the whole negotiation back and forth really shows how good Quark is at dealing with people with, on the spot. He can read them. He can essentially determine, exactly what his leverage is and then try to use it to his advantage. I think it's
Mhm.
the best examination of Quark's ability in doing that throughout the entire series.
And it's interesting that you say that because one of the things that we talked about is with a lot of the episodes of Ferengi on Deep Space Nine, it all revolves around profit and this, that, and the other thing. Whereas that aspect of this episode, that's all Quark is thinking about, but he does it in a way that it works. Where in other Ferengi episodes, it really doesn't, and is more of a boring aspect of those episodes, if I can use that word. Where here it isn't, because it's fun because of the whole time travel thing and changing history and and killing Nurse Garland with his finger ray gun and stuff like that. It's just stuff that it just really works for me, and I like how they brought it
Wait,
across.
wait.
You can't shoot me through the screen, Bill.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry. That's what
damn
happens
it.
when you move to North Carolina. Just saying.
Yeah, and we'll talk about this in the outtake, but I've been here 6 months now.
Ah, good.
Flew by.
Good for,
Um,
good for me,
I
anyway.
the I hate you so much. I feel like this episode wraps up kind of quickly. I feel like there's a little more that could have happened. You know, maybe President Truman comes to the base.
Mhm.
Maybe we get a scene where he meets the president. Um, but I feel like that there's probably something else they could have added. Like TOS. There was a takeaway in TOS when they went back to Chicago in a piece of the action.
Yep.
Where McCoy leaves his communicator behind.
Right. Right.
And we know the Iosians are, they love to mimic things, so they probably will take that and build on it.
That
I
they
would
made a
have
piece of our
loved
action.
sabotage. I would have loved some little bit, like McCoy curing the woman in Star Trek 4. I would have loved something left behind that we take for granted today that is an explanation. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
It does. One thing I would have liked to have seen is it would have been hard to do this, but was there any type of pet or something that they had on the shuttle? Because they always talked about there were bodies in Roswell in 1947 that were, autopsy. If that had been part of the discussion, like maybe what are the things that are running loose around the station all the time, that
Cardassian
O'Brien,
Vol.
the voles, yeah. If there was a vole or something that got left behind, maybe that could have been what that whole aspect of this the story of Roswell was. If they had thrown something like that in there.
Well, I'm going to throw this at you. They could have, had a real kicker scene toward the end where President Truman orders them to create some fake aliens.
Yeah.
So that because I mean, the joke about the weather balloon at the end really doesn't land for me because the president already knows about the Ferengi.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to him? How do we explain it away?
Yeah.
And that's where the sort of the myth of the little green men comes from.
Right. Right.
They created these things. They had somebody in Hollywood create them for them, and that's
Mhm.
how we
Yep.
got little green men. So
Yep.
I thought that would have made sense. Jim brings up a really good point here. He failed to take into account the paranoia of the time period. See, I don't think he did
No, I think
because with the general,
yeah.
He essentially, says, well, if not you, then I'm going to sell them to somebody else.
Right. Yep.
Which really kind of,
I'd much rather deal with you Australians.
yeah, exactly. I feel like it kind of plays into the whole zeitgeist of the period and the paranoia pretty much of all nations.
Yep.
Maybe not to the degree that it could have. I can certainly take that point. But I mean, if you're playing poker, Quark can already see this guy is scared.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to be able to really read him. I mean, because he can see essentially what's on his face. So
Yep. I love how at the end of the episode that we're just talking about right now, how they are the ship is in Hangar 18. I find it interesting that Odo is able to fix all the damage, which that's a story for another time. I'm going to tie this into the beginning of the episode where when they go through the time when the chemosite detonates and the ship pretty much dissolves. Not sure what's going on with that, but it kind of dissolves and then it's full and everything's intact and everything. And when it's leaving the hangar, it kind of like bumps up against the inside. So you get all the ripples on the inside of the hangar, which I find funny. And then it redissolves and reintegrates itself back when they get back to the regular time frame back in the future. I thought that was kind of funny. That shuttle goes through a lot in a short amount of time. Well, actually not a short amount of time. It's more like 600 years when you think about it. Right.
400,
600. Oh, math is hard.
At some point, somebody, I think Quark says 400 years or Ron does. But,
okay.
That shuttle survives well than any shuttle on Voyager. I just want to tell you that right now.
Yes. And it's got the little things in the front. It's like the little teeth. It's like a mandible.
Like the lobster claws. Ryan's right. This episode could have been a two-parter. I totally agree about that. It would have been amazing. Yep. And Odo is multi-talented.
He is. He really is.
Maybe
that's Kira.
Maybe Chief O'Brien could have put him to work. So what did you say?
That's Kira.
You're an idiot.
Oh, sorry. That's in season 6. I'm sorry. I don't know where my mind's at.
Oh gosh. With people like you, how have we evolved into the period of Star Trek? I don't understand.
Speaking of Odo, though, I do love how when he shows up as he's the dog and then he morphs into Odo, the guy's like, who's that? It's the reaction of this guy standing behind him, beating the crap out of everybody. Oh, he's with us.
He's our dog.
Yeah.
Hashtag Odo the dog.
Odo the dog. And
now I want to name a dog Odo.
Yeah, that would be awesome. But see, I've always had girl dogs, so I wouldn't name a girl dog Odo. So.
Well, but I mean, shapeshifter.
Well, yeah, true.
Doesn't matter.
Well, if we got a girl dog and I was going to name him after one of the changelings, I'd have to call it female changeling, because that's the only name we ever had for a female changeling in the entire series, which I still don't understand to this day.
None of the changelings have names. The Bajorans gave Odo his name.
Unknown sample.
Correct. Odo Vital. Yeah. Thank you.
Tangent.
None of the changelings have names because they're the Great Link.
I know. Another tangent, because we're going off on tangents.
Oh yeah, let's do
it. All during the first run of Deep Space Nine, watching it, I thought they called it the Great Lake because it was liquid. I'm not even joking. I thought at first it was the Great Lake, and not until later on in the series did I understand that it was the Link.
Was it Superior or Huron?
I'm being honest. If this, thank you, Ryan.
I wish I could laugh about this.
That's what I thought it was, but you know me, I throw lyrics into songs that are wrong all the time, and so I'm not surprised.
Have you
Thank you,
been
Tim. Thank you,
tested
Tim.
for dementia? I just want to know this.
Hey, at least I know my mistake and admitted it. It was wrong. It's the Great Link.
Yeah, but back then,
It's the Great Sausage Links.
can you imagine? Can you imagine back in the day if we had talked about this? Because this was like, right, less than a year before we met.
Yeah.
And we talked about the Great Lake. I would have been like,
What are you
the
talking
hell
about?
are you talking about? The Great Lake. You know where the changelings are. No, dummy.
What?
It's the Great Link.
Oh, the Great Link. But it's water. So I thought it was a lake. I didn't thought a bunch
Not
of
water.
chains laying around.
It's
I
shapeshifter
understand.
goo.
Liquid form. Anyway.
Form of a lake of
Yeah,
changelings.
Lake Changeling.
Shape of
Lake
an ice
Changeling.
slide.
Lake Changeling. What a great lake name. Anyway.
That's what we're going to call it from now on. It's no longer the Great Link. It's Lake Changeling.
Lake Changeling. I like it. All right. That tangent went way out.
I'd like to think that this is why people listen to Trek Geeks.
Yes.
No, it's not.
It is no NPR,
No,
that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. You're not going to get this kind of discussion on Trek NPR. And I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Dan, welcome to Trek NPR. No, I'm kidding. The last few minutes where they kind of escape are a little too convenient.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, if you think you're less smart, imagine how unsmart Dan is, and just factor it down. They're on a military installation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they knocked out their guards, but I have a hard time believing that there were only a couple of guys keeping watch on them, like on the Enterprise whenever somebody was in the brig. When there are aliens, hold on.
Yes.
Aliens from space in an exam room. I'm thinking there'd be a whole lot more people.
I would think. You would think. But maybe they're conceited, egotistical jerks. They can take anything. They're small. They're these three small Martians with big ears. We can take them.
I got nothing. I really don't. I really have nothing.
But you know what I find even more convenient than that?
Your face?
My face. And the fact that the only way that they can figure that they can get home is if they fly into an atomic blast. And there just happens to be one going off in 7 minutes, guys. You might want to get in your shuttle and head right out.
Yeah, there
convenient.
is a little bit of of quick resolution that we normally, blame Voyager for, but that absolutely happens here.
See, now what I want to do is I want to look through the historical records for real of when the whole Roswell thing took place and the farmer found the spaceship, and was there an atomic blast a couple days later, or was that all just for the show? Because then it'll just ruin the whole thing.
Will it?
No, not at all.
Will it? No, it won't.
No, not at all.
You're so dumb. I said out loud. But of course, they make it back. They're in orbit of Earth.
Mm-hmm.
They get hailed by Earth Space Command or whatever the heck it's called.
Yeah.
They say, do you need help? They're like, yes, we need help. You didn't need help to fly into an atomic blast with chemosite.
That's right.
But
yep.
I would have liked some sort of,
how the
different outcome.
You know how it would have been a great ending? So they're looking for help, but then maybe just before it fades out to black, it's 2 hours later, and they have beamed down and they are standing in Roswell, looking around. That would have been really awesome.
Jim brings up a great point. I want to know what would have happened to the professor and the nurse for helping them to escape. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
But, would there have been a technicality here because there's no aliens? How could they prove that they did anything wrong if the government's not going to admit to them?
Yep. True.
I feel like there's been like an episode of other shows like that.
Mm-hmm.
Probably even Star Trek, and my old brain is just failing me at this point.
Well, good point. Good point, Jim.
The kicker scene when they get back to Deep Space Nine, I think, is cute. Of course, Odo's going to throw Quark in jail.
Yes, I love that. Tell it to the magistrate.
I love how Rom, says, I'm going to call cousin Gayla and get a lawyer. And just the look on Rom's face as we get to the end of the episode, like, I'm going to be king of the bar.
Mm.
It's all mine. It is such a great look from Max that it really makes me happy at the end of the episode.
I'm going to go one further on you on that. This episode, you said that they kind of very quickly made him the smart guy.
Yeah.
Now he knows that people know, and he's in his head thinking about the things that he's going to be able to do now that everybody knows that he's the smart guy. Like, I don't know, become the Grand Nagus.
I don't think he thinks that far ahead.
Come on.
I mean, you have to be
give me one.
You have to be a whole lot of steps ahead in order to think that. And that's still 3.5 years down the road.
Yeah. Okay, what is she saying now? Okay, well, let me see.
Haley says Borg Collective sounds more understandable than the Great Link. I get it, they're all linked, but they're more than linked. It's a meld. Wait, no, that's a Vulcan thing. Or a merging or an incorporation. I like incorporation. That's very Ferengi for this episode.
The Great Incorporation.
Very conglomerated, perhaps.
Ooh, conglomerated. I like that too.
Or a blending or a fusion.
I was just going to say, or a blending. Or a fusion, and she.
You were not going to say that.
Wow.
And yes, Jim, that was a great comedy scene. It does stand the test of time.
Yeah.
Like 98% of the episode, with the exception of that one scene with the nurse. I think that this whole episode really, Dan, is kind of timeless. At least it is for me.
It is, and the reason it is because it is fun. It's a fun episode. We all know what's going to be happening come the next season or at the end of this season with what's coming down the road with what's going on in Deep Space Nine. This episode has great writing, great humor, great science fiction, great acting. Everything on this episode really, really works. And we talked about it already at the top. This is the Ferengi episode of all of Star Trek, I think, in terms of what we get to see. The other thing that I love about this is you get to see Quark for how protective he really is of his family. Even though he does it in his own way, which can just seem like ridiculous, this is where you really see it. And I think that that's a credit to the character.
Can you imagine if they had done this as 2 episodes, the way they could have expanded out this story?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe they get loose. Maybe it causes a war of the worlds kind of panic. I think that would have been fantastic.
Show up at the White House.
Oh my gosh.
Who knows? I mean, yeah, it could have been really something. Yeah, absolutely. Get some Orson Welles voiceover.
The one thing I wish that had made it into this episode, and this is, some people are going to shake their head and go, no, the Ferengi energy whips.
Oh, absolutely. That would have been great.
I wish those had been in this episode. Like there'd been one on board the shuttle and they found it, and somebody accidentally fries one of the other dudes with the Ferengi energy whip. They're like, and Quark's like, yeah, you shouldn't use that.
Yeah, I think that would have been a great thing. We didn't see enough of the Ferengi energy whips, I don't think. Yep.
Yeah. Ryan says that would have been cool. Thank you. Yeah. That's why I'm the brains and the beauty of this outfit.
Like Changeling.
Haley says it's a fun way to make the Area 51 Roswell stuff real, but it incorporates something we all know to Star Trek. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, it's the beauty of this episode. I think it's why I love it so much.
Yeah.
Jim,
great point by Jim.
If it were a 2-parter, we could see the temporal investigators come to Deep Space Nine and grill Quark and Rom. Absolutely. I would have liked it if the temporal investigators had been a recurring theme on Deep Space Nine. Every time they show up, it's like, oh man, here we go.
They made a couple books with them, but not nearly as great as as when they showed up for Trials and Tribulations. But yeah, that would have been great to see them come several times. Would have been good.
Do you remember their names?
I know that I can't think of Luxley and I forget the other one, but it was basically a rewording of the X-Files characters.
Dulmer and Luxley.
Dulmer, yeah. See, and people are probably going to scream in a second. I have never watched the X-Files, so that's why I couldn't remember the name.
I'm going to remove you from this stream. I really am.
I was too busy watching Star Trek. Sorry.
So thank
Wow,
you for
he really
yeah.
did. He really did. Oh,
Dan,
good.
final thoughts on Little Green Men.
I'll have to look back if I had it listed in my top 10 of Deep Space Nine, because it is just fantastic. It's great Star Trek. It's great science fiction. It's great storytelling. And it's one that you can watch, and it's one of those ones that just you don't get bored of it. It's always good to watch. And I've seen it, I don't know how many times. You still pick out things every time you watch it that you didn't see last time. And I think that's what good television does.
It is spoken by Dan Davidson, television auteur. I think this episode is probably among the best of the season, if not the series. I think it does a really great job of giving Quark kind of the lead action in an episode.
Yeah.
Quark he's the one series regular that's in this episode for most of it. And I think he does a really great job leading it. Armin, I'm sure he didn't get too many of these episodes, and his opportunity to really carry this with his other castmates from DS9 is just, it's like a clinic. It's on display. He does a fantastic job.
Yeah, he really does. And it's too bad that we really didn't get a chance to talk to him about this episode in Long Island last year. That would have been really something to do. We'll have to talk about that. Maybe we'll have him on a future episode of this here show and talk to him about it specifically, because it's a great one.
Well, don't forget, we do have Thursday Night Geeks coming up, premiering Thursday, January 30th. Almost 2 weeks after Trek Talks, which of course is coming up. But maybe we'll have Armin for one of those episodes. Of course, Dan, we're premiering Thursday Night Geeks to celebrate our 10th anniversary doing Trek Geeks. And
I don't even know what to say.
My mind is blown.
Blown.
Almost like it was filled with chemosite and flying through a nuclear explosion.
So maybe the explosion will take you 10 years into the past and we can do it all over again.
Oh gosh, I hope not.
You're welcome.
Didn't I heard you two like Pats for a see it or skip it of season 4?
I think she did. I think she was the host for that one.
She absolutely was. Yes, Mistress Haley, you did. Yeah. So 10 years of Trek Geeks, Dan, and we're celebrating with the premiere of Thursday Night Geeks. I mean, it doesn't get any better. Kind of the next phase of Trek Geeks, which I think is exciting.
It's amazing that it has evolved or devolved, depending on how you want to look at it, to what we're going to be doing. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, we have so much fun with this. It just makes sense to do it in a grander scheme. And I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good time. And set your alarm clocks. Make sure your kids get a daytime nap so that they can join us live when we're doing that on January 30th.
Well, 220, 221, whatever it takes.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Dan.
Yeah.
The other thing we love, of course, for people listening to the audio version of this, the band 5-Year Mission. We love all their songs. Every single last one of them.
Yeah.
In the audio only version of Trek Geeks, you hear it as the intro theme, you hear it as the bumper music, you hear it as the end theme, and it's just perfect because it's great music about Star Trek for Star Trek fans. So don't waste any time. Get over to 5yearmission.net. Get all of those CDs in your cart, and then check out and get them at your house and listen to them. See, I did a little pantomime there. Listen to them and become a huge fan of 5-Year Mission, as we are ourselves. 5yearmission.net. Get those CDs in your ear holes.
And you know what? It's great to use that physical media. Your CD player will no longer just be like a coffee cup holder. You can actually put the CD in the machine, press the play, then go back, watch Little Green Men, the AI version, where the ship is actually Fark's treasure and never has any problem, does the warp drive thing, no chemoside explosion, everything works great, and it's the best episode ever. Fark's treasure.
Yeah. Fark's
treasure.
That
was it. I put it in there quickly, just really quick.
Yeah. I almost didn't hear it because it sounded like Quark's treasure to me.
But it wasn't.
Fark's treasure.
Right there. Fark's treasure. I didn't even write that one ahead of time. I just did it just now.
It's obvious you didn't write it ahead of time.
I literally said, "Oh shit, I forgot to do a Farkism." So
it's obvious you didn't write it ahead of time because it sucked.
But Bill, in all honesty, to you, don't they all?
Well, that's not untrue. Dan, of course. We want people to remember that, like our Patreons watching tonight, they too can follow and support us on Patreon, where they can attend incredible live stream recordings like this one.
You get what you pay for, don't you, folks?
Wow.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I got to say, we truly appreciate it. We love our Patreonicals so much. We are absolutely humbled by your support. Want to thank each and every one of you. And right now, we want to give a special thank you to our associate producers of Trek Geeks. And they are Vikram Bhatt, Chad Clark, Corey Clay, Brad DeMag, William Edward M. Jr., Andy Fark, Kimberly Francis, Jonathan Hamilton, Ryan Jeffs, Sean Lynn, Rick Mason, Jamie McGregor, Ross McKenney, Aaron Mollenkoff, Sarah Ledoux, Helen Reed, Sarah Rutlinger, Tim Robertson, Desi Rogers, Greg Rozier, Eric Sakian, Adam Sanders, Tim Serdar, Heather Sohn, I'm out of breath, Blake Strike, Lisa Tomlinson, Ron Roble, Kaylea Zawacki, and the gracious and wonderful Connie Hutchins.
Yeah, the gracious and wonderful Connie Hutchins.
Get there. It's Connie O'Day. Let's go. It's Connie Hutchins. Get going in there.
Oh, my goodness. And of course, we want to thank our Trek Geeks producers. They are Mike Bovia, Steve Bovia, Jeff Caliendo, Kyle Castillo, Peter Craig, Andy Davenport, Craig Ewing, Jackie and Chris Hackney, Brian Hackworth, Kimberly Hartman, David Hood, Lionel Marchand, Matt McGonigal, Jim McMahon, Darren Metcalf, Charlie Mulvey, Sean O'Halloran, Casey Pettit, Jamie Rogers, Casey Shafsky, Terry Shull, Jim Stoffel, Chris Trabuzio, Christina Werther, and the lovely and talented Jess Vashon. Dan, for now and all time, the senior producer of Trek Geeks is the one and only college man, Jude Tatman.
I'm going to let everybody in on a little secret. I don't know if we talked about it last time, but I'm going to say it right now. Yes, the only senior producer of this show ever. And you're all going to hear him next time. You're all going to hear him next time. There's going to be more about that next as we get to the end of the episode. But you will hear Jude very recently. You too, though, can become a producer of Trek Geeks. It's just so easy to do. Even Bill could figure it out if he wasn't one of the creators of this here podcast. Head on over to patreon.com/Trek Geeks for all the details.
Dan, next time, what the hell are we doing? Oh, yeah, we're going to circle back to what we were originally going to do this week because we're planning some special conversations as part of this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Scheduling's been a little bit of an issue. And of course, we wanted to do the Halloween episode, but fear not. Next time, we're going to have a couple of amazing guests to discuss what we feel is a very important topic. As we've said for a long time here on Trek Geeks, the past several years have been touted as the best time to be a Trek fan with all the new shows. But with that being said, are the new shows really continuing Gene's vision? Are you all wondering if Trek is past a spy? Are we getting too old for the new Trek? Or is the new Trek causing you to revert back to watching Legacy? They're all valid questions. And so we're going to discuss that. And we're going to have some great guests, including, as I just mentioned a moment ago, the senior producer of Trek Geeks. That's right. The one and only Jude Tatman will be joining us so we can get his opinion on it. It's all happening next time on Trek Geeks. You know, the flagship of that thing we do.
That thing we do. And of course, we want people to know we are fans of all Star Trek.
Absolutely.
We're not saying we hate the new Star Trek. We're not saying that it's not Star Trek. But as people who've been fans now for almost half a century, is it causing a change in our mentality and how we look at Star Trek? So we're actually also going to talk to some sociologists about that very thing.
Absolutely.
So I totally agree. Jim McMahon says never all ages canon should watch Trek. Absolutely. So, Dan, of course, for more great Star Trek discussion, we want everyone to check out the other member podcasts. Of course, we got Big Sci-Fi, we got Sci-Fi Sisters, we got With the First Link, we got, we got so many, I keep forgetting all of them. Rewind. We got this horrible show. We got really something for everybody, but you can find all our shows and a link to listen at trekgeeks.com/listen.
Planet Zero, baby. Don't forget that one too. Brand new.
Well, we haven't announced that publicly yet.
Well, yeah, but it's the Patreonicals right now.
Yeah, but this gets promote it. This will be
you can-
live to people tomorrow.
You'll edit it out. That's all right.
No, I won't. I can't.
Trek Geeks. No one talks Trek like we do.
This would be helpful if you just stick to the copy. And of course, for all the news on all the Star Trek, please visit our great friends at treknews.net. For now, this has been episode number 318 of the Trek Geeks podcast. We do hope you all live long and prosper.
Coconut.
Wait, that's it?
That's it. So
You traveled all the way back to 1947 and all you got is coconut?
Going back in time, going old school, OG. Coconut.
No.
See,
You need to raise your A game. You're not a bum anymore.
it's coconut day. Let's go.
I love
that. That's better. Okay.
It's amazing how that timing works out every time. I don't know how we do it.
It's great.
It's
man.
amazing. Bing bong, buddy.
Bing bong. Oh my gosh, it's so weird doing it at the end.
It is. It's kind of nice though.
weird.
It simplifies my edit a little bit.
That's true. That's
of
true.
the audio.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been in North Carolina 6 months. Can you believe this?
Congratulations, man. That's pretty awesome. It's a celebration every day in New Hampshire, but that's a story for another time.
You could be a little nicer.
It's a sad day in New Hampshire every time.
Not once have we thought about looking back either.
No, I'm not looking back.
Shut up.
Uh.
You just did, jerk.
I did. So I wanted to show you this, and this is truly amazing. With the announcement of the new job and everything, my workstation for work was over here, which you can't see. But
that's really great video. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, but I cleared it out so that I could put other stuff to, while I was looking for a job. And one of the things I was doing to help me deal with everything is build some of the Blue Bricks Deep Space Nine stuff. And I'm working on the runabout right now because we were talking about the giant shuttle or the giant runabout and the tiny shuttle. Dude, when I say that the runabout is gigantic, I'm not even kidding. Look at the size of this thing. And this is only part of it. The front of it isn't even attached to this yet. And look at how big this thing is.
Oh my gosh.
It's huge.
Even the detail inside is pretty amazing.
This is the cockpit, which I haven't attached yet. I mean, the thing, when it's put together, it's like gigantic. Yeah, and the detail is really incredible. They even have, I can't even show it to you. I don't think I can make it here, but they got a bathroom in it. There's a bathroom in the runabout. And there's a literal toilet in there, too.
Did you have to make a little Star Trek toilet?
I made a little Star Trek toilet, yeah.
Does it have an LCARS console?
It does not have that would have been great, but it's got bunks and it's got a replicator and a coffee table with coffee on it.
Now, see, in my head canon, the toilet on board any starship or shuttlecraft or runabout has a little LCARS panel with the bidet settings.
I don't.
Who's with me?
I can't say that that's bad. Why am I an effing jerk? What did I do now?
And Ryan is right. It is called a head, just like it is on the Bridge of the Next Generation. There's a door labeled head.
Yep. And it's on the other side of the
and it's not what you thought it was.
Right.
The ticker tape providing you the latest, greatest news and accurate.
Brad,
this is not fake news.
Dude.
This is legit.
Okay. All right. Why? Because you're in North Carolina and I'm happy about it?
No, just because you're a jerk.
It's good to laugh again. It really is. Because it's been
I had this conversation with other people. Our good friend Chris Mumphrey, who we do Vegas with every year, our brother in all things and in Trek, and he's kind of the third Trek geek when we're at STLV every year. You could see the stress and the despair on your face and in your eyes. And when you told me you got that job, I could see that you were the Dan that I knew, the Dan with joy, the Dan with, hope. The Dan of the previous 3 months was not there. It was obvious that the sparkle was in your eye again, and it was not there for the 3 months previous, quite frankly.
No, I appreciate it. We actually, that was fun. you and I, every once in a while, we have a video chat with our friend Jude Tapman over in England, and he's off to college, and we were going to have a chat with him that week. And I had gotten the offer letter, and I'm like, I'm not going to tell Bill yet. I want to see his reaction. I'm going to wait. So I plan to tell you both at the same time. And your face when I told you that I had signed the offer letter and had gotten the job was priceless. I wish I had recorded that video because it was awesome. And I was very happy to be able to tell you that.
But you'd already told Jude's mom, you prick.
I did, because she had texted me about what was going on with Jude at the time, and I wanted to relieve some of her stress by letting her know some good news. So I said, okay, well, don't tell anybody, but I'm going to let the guys know tonight. I just signed an offer letter. So that's why she knew first. Yeah.
And Jim and Ross, I think, sorry, Brad and Ross, I think, sum it up greatly. I think we're all glad that weight is lifted for you. And it really is good to hear the joy in your voice again.
Yeah. It's good to have it, I got to say.
And Jim McMahon says Creation released the info for STLV 2025 today, baby.
Ah, very nice.
As I take a look at the official Trek Geeks countdown calendar, we are 287 days away.
Yeah. Now I will say, and then I'm gonna drop this on you right here live. You don't even know this is coming. I'm gonna say it. There is a chance, based on my new work, that I may not come out till Thursday of this year's convention, but we will deal with that as it gets closer, if it's something I have to do or not. But so that means just, you know what, you shouldn't be upset about it all. It just means 2 more days that you don't have to deal with me. So
are you kidding me? I might actually get to stay at a hotel I want to stay at.
Yeah, there you go. Make your own goddamn reservation.
Okay. Every now I want to stay because it's close to where all the action is, and I want to cosplay.
Oh, I got a cosplay coming this year too.
Do you?
Oh yeah.
What are you planning?
I'm not saying.
All right.
Yeah.
So when are you back from your trip to Florida?
It's kind of a short trip. We're leaving Thursday, and I'll be back Tuesday night.
We're not going to talk politics because we don't do that on Trek Geeks. But what are you doing election night?
Probably drinking.
I will be it right now. We're going to fire up a channel on the Patreon Discord.
Okay.
And I'm going to watch election returns.
Okay. All right.
An audio channel.
I don't know if I'll be on it or not, depending on what's going on, if we're downstairs or whatever, but I will do my best to. But I'm going to be as stressed out that night as I was the last 3 months.
You know, even if you can pop in for a little bit. Screw
I can. Yes, I definitely will.
Polls close in the East at 7, and then every hour after that.
I popped in at an episode watch when I was in Disney one year, a couple of years ago. So yeah.
During a hurricane, I think.
I don't remember when it was, but I remember.
I don't remember when it was.
Yeah, we're very excited. We're staying at the cabins at Wilderness Lodge again.
Oh, you mentioned that. That's right.
We've done once before, and they are just absolutely spectacular. It's a gorgeous log cabin. It's very open on the inside. It's got a hot tub inside and a screened-in porch, and it's right on the lake. We're very happy. We're very excited about staying there again.
So today, here at the house, it's a normal work day. Both Kelly and I are logged in, to our various employers, doing work, taking a short break. I went into the bedroom. I came out, and Isabella, our dog, is standing by the sliding glass door, and she's looking like she needs to go out. So I look at her and say, "Do you need to go outside?" And she makes a look at the door and a look at me, and her tail starts wagging more excitedly than normal. I'm like, "All right, let's go out." So I put on my shoes. We take her out. She takes 2 steps off the concrete patio, flops onto the grass, and immediately just starts lying there.
That's it.
And no, she faked me out. She made me think she had to go potty.
Yeah.
So that she could get sun on her belly and then roll in the grass and kick her legs in the air. That kid, she has learned that she loves her backyard.
And I got to say, the videos that you posted, that is one hell of a backyard for her to have. That is pretty awesome.
It's giant.
We have talked about the fact that we would love to be able to have a larger backyard for Miley to run around because she loves to run. Today though was great because it was 75 here today. I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous weather.
Yeah.
Callie Aria is not doing too good right now. She's got a problem with her back or something, so she's having some issues. We've taken her to the vet. Hopefully she'll be fine while we're gone, but the vet doesn't want her on stairs or anything like that. She's just very, very wobbly and it looks like she's uncomfortable. So hopefully she'll be okay. But we got her on some meds, see if that helps. She might have pulled something because it was 75 today, but a few days ago in the morning we had frost and she slipped on the steps. So
it was like 78 here today, but it's been in the high 30s, low 40s pretty much every morning. I'm still wearing shorts though. Yeah, I'm going all Lou from fan sets on life now. I'm wearing shorts 24/7.
That's something I don't need to think about tonight. Is Lou
my beautiful legs?
No, Lou in shorts. He's in Disneyland right now, I think.
He's always in Disneyland.
They go once a month, except for August because they go to Vegas for the convention.
Wow. Oh, and I mentioned, a couple of months ago that I was going to be going to the Creation Con in Jersey.
Yes.
I have to cancel my trip to Jersey. Unfortunately, it's work-related stuff, so I'm really bummed about it.
Yeah.
I was going to hang out with the fan sets folks all weekend and just enjoy the con and see friends. But things are what they are.
Right.
And maybe it just means I hit another con at some point somewhere else. So
speaking of cons, holy crap, Trek Long Island is signing some names.
Celia Rose Gooding going to Trek Long Island next year.
Yeah. Andy Robinson.
John Billingsley, our dear friend.
Some guy named John Billingsley. Yeah. Okay, I got a funny
his
story.
His wife Bonnie Friederici.
Yep.
Whole bunch of other people.
It's
awesome. It's awesome. Phil Morris and his sister Iona Morris were both in TOS as kids, and then Phil, of course, was in Star Trek 3: The Search for Spock, and also a Voyager episode.
Yep.
So it's going to be a great lineup at Trek Long Island.
Big names. So I told you how absolutely wonderful Billingsley was during the time that I was struggling over the summer.
Yes.
Called me one day and we had a fantastic conversation. So we had a meeting. We had our whole team meeting for Trek Talks 4 the other day, and you had a work prior engagement, so you weren't able to be there. So we're on with everybody. There's like 15 people in the meeting, and then the meeting ends, and I never got the opportunity to let John know that I had signed an offer letter and that I got a job, and I wanted to let him know. So I texted him, and this is what a real true friend is. And John is just amazing. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I sent that text, and not 10 seconds later, he was calling me.
Oh, wow.
I was just so happy that he did that. And he wanted to congratulate me and hear all the details and everything. So it just made me feel really good. He's such a great guy. And I'll tell you what, we talk about how fan sets has been the best thing that's happened with Trek Geeks and the creation of the podcast and everything. I got to say that our friendship with Billingsley has been the best thing that's come out of Trek Talks besides helping people.
I'd like to thank Jim McMahon for the correction there. Iona Morris also did a Voyager episode. I'd forgotten that. Thank you, Jim.
That's all right. We're old.
And Brad says, I need to get adopted by Lou to go to Disneyland. Don't we all?
Yeah, but then you'd have to see Lou in his shorts all the time.
Oh, shut up.
And his Incredibles shirt, because he wears his Incredibles shirt every day at Disney because he loves.
You know why? Because he is Mr. Incredible.
Because he is incredible. Yep.
You insufferable jerk.
Here's some news for you that you are not going to like. I do not have a single Star Trek shirt packed for this trip. First time that has ever happened.
Why would I not like that? I mean, you do you, boo.
It's just weird. We went through all the stuff that we bring because Sue and I coordinate everything. But yeah,
are she and Donna going to coordinate shirts again?
They usually do without even trying to. That's the scary.
I know
thing.
That's the joke.
That is the scary thing. Yep. But we got Disney stuff. And you're gonna roll your eyes. I got a Lost shirt. But yeah, no, and it's not. It's actually it's a deep cut. It's an Oceanic Airlines logo. Shirt.
That's not a deep cut, buddy.
It is for people who have watched Lost. They're not gonna know what it is.
They're not going to know what is and isn't a deep cut. I mean, you talk about deep cuts with fan base.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's just a shame you have that shitty show tattooed on your body.
I'm in the middle of a rewatch right now, actually.
I'm really sorry about that.
Yeah. Season 3. So good.
No, it's not.
It's so good. Shut your
It's
face.
the Firefly of non.
Oh my God, you are a blasphemer.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
20th
Lost sucks, and so do you.
In all seriousness, 20th anniversary of it is this year, which is amazing. It's old. And there is still, yes, there is. Yes, Ross, you're absolutely right. And there's a documentary coming out that I can't wait to watch called Getting.
Oh, great.
That is every
says Lost is so convoluted it's impossible to know what a deep cut is on that show.
The beach is a deep cut.
On.
Yeah.
No, Nikki and Paolo are a deep cut.
That is, and you know what? That's the next episode is Nikki and Paolo. Yep, absolutely.
That's the best episode of that entire season.
It is so good because the
rest of it sucks as much as you do.
You are not even right. I'm sorry. We can agree to disagree.
No, we can't. I'm not agreeing to anything with you.
Wow. See what I have to put up with, people?
Yeah, see, this is what it goes back to. See what I have to put up with, people? Never mind the fact
this is my show. I can get upset about it.
It's your show.
Well, it's not I don't own it, but it's.
Do you remember the album cover I did back in our first year? Where it's Trek Geeks starring Dan Davidson with some guy he knows?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me have to put
Wasn't
that in
I
the show notes.
It was the Disney, the one I took to Disney at MGM at the time was called MGM. Yeah.
We may have to put that in the show notes this week. No, I'll post it to social media as a flashback.
Okay. I like that idea. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we've probably bored our poor patrons long enough.
It's been a fun evening, though, I gotta say.
It has. It's good to be back in the saddle.
Yep. I'm glad we're able to talk before I head on my trip. It's, with everything going on, I was not in a position to really want to do much discussion. I don't even know how many episodes we did over the 3 months. Was it 2? I don't even remember. But I tell you what, when we postponed last week, I was like, oh, but I was really looking forward to tonight, getting back in the saddle, talking about stuff. It's good to have a weight off my shoulders and see your face.
Dan, one of my favorite pieces of advice is it really doesn't matter how you fall. What matters most is how you rise.
Yep.
And we are rising. And right after you come back, we're doing another damn episode. So
yeah, we are. Yep.
Get your mind right and have a Mickey bar and a Dole Whip.
Yep.
And have a hell of a time. I am jealous of you.
Thanks, man.
I told Kelly we're going probably in the spring because it's been 5 years since she went without me.
Yeah.
And I still haven't been to Star Wars land.
It's going to be interesting because we go with Donna and Chris every trip, but Don and Melinda are joining us this time, and they have not been to any of the parks in like 10 or 12 or 15 years. So none of the new rides they have been on. And I can't wait to get them on Guardians of the Galaxy, which may be the best ride ever made at any Disney park ever. That's going to be
Is that
fun.
the old Tower of Terror?
No, that's the Tower of Terror is now a Guardians themed ride in Disneyland.
Oh, okay.
Tower of Terror is still Tower of Terror in Florida, but Guardians of the Galaxy is a new ride that they ripped down the Ellen's Adventure ride at Epcot. And they made a roller coaster-ish indoor Guardians ride. It is phenomenal. I cannot say enough about it. Whatever ride you love at Disney, Guardians is 50 times better. It is incredible. Yeah.
Does it have Chris Pratt in it?
It does.
Yeah,
but what's great is they play music, and on September 21st of this year, all day, every track that was played during the ride was September by Earth, Wind & Fire.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. They play Disco Inferno, which is the one I love.
By the Tramps.
Yep. Yeah. It's fantastic. And I cannot describe with enough detail of how great a ride it is. It's fantastic. And even the queue lines are great. So,
well, then let's leave it there and bid everyone a good night. Everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. And we will do this again next time. Until then, live long and prosper, y'all.
LLAP, baby. Take care.
Have a good night, everyone.
looking at